Everybody?
I'm so tired.
Do you want me to leave your room?
Yes, please.
Raya occupied the living room, so I moved here, which is now her room, which is this like tiny little corner of our apartment, and it was supposed to be an office. But on Saturday she moved her bed in here. So anyway, this is the place to be if you're not following the polls or if you're looking for anything other than Trump, Harris, Trump, Kamala, Donald. Oh, I gotta go. She's now taking over the room.
I'm so tired.
She's so tired. This is the place to be for anything but the election news because you probably got better news sources than I do over there if you're in America, or maybe you're not in America and you're like, you know what, I don't really care too much what's going on over there. That's another thing. And actually, maybe you just do care what's happening here, and maybe you're wondering, wow, is Iran gonna finally attack? In response to the attack, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, so you found yourself in the right place because we're really not going to talk about the elections today because I'm not there. But what we are going to talk about is, it's really funny how other people see the news from outside. And I think it happens also, like if I hear a natural disaster happened in, somewhere in the US and I'm like, oh, wow, are you safe? What's happening? And everybody's like, yeah, it was nowhere near me. And that's like a lot of also what's happening here, in terms of Iran. Like, there is actually not much of a sense of an impending attack, despite the fact that there was even a time frame given where they said it would be before the elections, and then they said it would be between the 4th and the 6th, which would include the elections. So we've had all of this back and forth with whether or not Iran was going to attack. So the attack would be in response to the October 26th attack that Israel launched. Warplanes flying from here, hitting targets all over Iran, not just in one place. Apparently, apparently may have taken out some of the air defense systems, and other sites I think they didn't touch the nuclear sites, but by removing the air defense, it basically is saying, well, next time we shall come in unhindered. So interestingly enough, China just put out some pictures I want to tell you about. They were putting out their um, pictures of their weapons and their military equipment that is comparable to American. So, the Americans have moved a lot of B-52 bombers to the region, and that there's this there. So you could also say that maybe Iran backed down because America was like, for various reasons. I'm not just saying the American threat or deterrence did it. Maybe it wasn't just military deterrence. Maybe it was like backroom deals or whatever. So you've got China reveals. This is the stealthy 5th-generation Chinese J-35A fighter jet, a direct competitor of the American F-35. And then they have another one. This is the Chinese HQ-19 air defense system, which is a direct competitor to the American THAAD system, AA THAAD. And that those systems have been moved also to Israel to help defend against a possible Iranian attack. And of course, that October 26th attack by Israel, which occurred on a Friday night between Friday and Saturday. And, I heard the jets flying overhead, and I'm not even like near, I'm definitely not near an airport. I'm not like when I lived in New York, I lived between JFK and Kennedy Airport. And so I knew the flight patterns and I heard like, you always hear commercial planes. And so no big deal. You get used to it. But when you then live in a place where there's no planes, when you hear one, you're just like, oh, what's that? What's going on? So I actually woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, what are all these planes? What's happening? So, turned on my phone. I'm like, oh, Israel just announced actually that it's attacking Iran. So there was that. When that was for the October 1st attack that Iran launched against Israel with 180 ballistic missiles that sent the entire country into bomb shelters. There was a little bit of damage. Somebody was killed. A Palestinian was killed in Jericho. And other than that, that was it. Past that just went. Oh, can you believe it? Went by peacefully. An attack on 10 million people. In Iran, there were not many casualties. There might have been a few military casualties, but there weren't attacks on places that, first of all, it was the middle of the night, and it wasn't like attacks on civilian centers or anywhere there were specific targets. Now, all of this is still like unknown because Iran's not going to say what was hit or what was damaged. And also Israel's not going to reveal too much about its attacks. So that all where that stands now is that I have friends saying, oh, are you stressed? Are you worried? Are you this, that? I'm like, about what? Oh, yeah, Iran. I mean, it's not something that's kind of factored in because internal politics have taken over. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. I just realized that somebody forgot to clean up the crumbs after he ate cookies here. We'll deal with that later. Okay, so just one more comment on the Iranian issue is that one of the thoughts is that if there is an attack, that it doesn't have to be just from Iran, but there are other proxies in the region and especially in Iraq. And so there has been a lot of Israeli pressure on Iraq. And Iraq is a little bit nervous because it's not. Now, Iraq sort of turned into this Iranian proxy, or there are a lot of proxy groups there, but there's, it's kind of been weakened. And the Iranian proxies have a lot of control there, and Iran has a lot of say in Iraq's policies and decisions. But Israel is threatening Iraq directly. Like, you send rockets and drones our way, then we attack you back. And Iraq can't handle that. Like Lebanon right now cannot really handle an Israeli attack, although, it's got Hezbollah there that is doing the fighting. And Lebanon's not involved. The Lebanese military is not involved, but it couldn't actually stand against the Israeli army. Most likely, I don't think at this point, especially like the country itself with the a lot of economic difficulties right now. So they probably couldn't stand as a nation. They wouldn't want to, let's say, at the very least. And the same with Iraq. Like, they're not really in a position to sustain military attacks. However, Israel said, don't launch anything at us at Iran's behest, because then we'll go after you. So if that pressure is, so that's another area, a pressure point, another thing that Iran has to consider. But all right, that is putting all that stuff to rest. I see Jennifer says that Raya is one smart cookie for a few reasons. But are you talking about because she took the room? She just took it and moved herself in? Is that, by the way, Jennifer Nataf is a personal stylist here in Jerusalem. And I just saw a post on her Facebook. Probably it's on other accounts as well. And it's Pretty Things Styling, if you want to follow her. She just posted that she was at a fashion show. And so, it was a quick reel. And so I watched it. What fashion show? You hear from the other room. She pretends she's not listening. Why weren't you invited? So even better, I know some of the people who walked the runway at the fashion show, Jennifer, and that would be Hillel Markovitz and her mom, Gabby Shine. And Hillel has Down syndrome. And she is one of Daniel's lifelong friends. You know, they've been in the same frameworks together, like friend. They had the same type of heart surgery, the same heart surgeon, the same cardiologist, same surgeon, and so they had a lot of things. Oh, Nadia, yeah, the fashion show. Were you there too? So I saw first heard about this fashion show through Gabby's post, and I guess Hillel was one of the models, which is awesome because it means it was a very inclusive fashion show. And then later I see on Jennifer's post that she was at this fashion show, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's very small world here, extremely. So let's not even talk about Iran because nobody's even talking about Iran right now. Like here, I don't think. Nadia, are you talking about Iran? I mean, are you concerned? Because if you are, I missed the boat on that one, and I actually I think it probably isn't going to happen today. Okay, so anyway, so I wanted to talk about a few different things that are going on in Israel, and these are the things that we never talk about because we're usually talking about wars and rumors of wars. But there's quite a few things going on today, and okay, for one, you know what's been happening. Nadia says that Iran is waiting until after the U.S. election. Yeah, and I wonder. I don't know if that was a deal with the Biden administration or with Trump, but yeah, so sweet of them. Anyway, yeah. So while there's still a war going on, by the way, there are still rockets being fired at the north. There's still a war. There the IDF, the army, still in Gaza. The Palestinians are still, being told to evacuate certain areas, especially in the north. That is still going on. I've been talking about this like a broken record, like an Iranian attack for weeks now, and they're still evacuating the north. But while all eyes are on war and then potential attacks and then U.S. elections, there is also something else going on. And this is the time of the olive harvest. And this, for some reason, is also then a time where you see violence and ramping up between settlers in the West Bank and Palestinians. And so on Monday, Israeli settlers torched nearly 20 cars in a city near Ramallah. So that's one thing. I'm just I've been getting the story from that. There has been a huge rise in settler violence since the start of the war. Now, when I say settlers, I'm not referring to every single person who lives in the West Bank. I think this was the Hilltop Youth that actually did that, and um, they're a group that believes that they have have a right to the land, that or that and that they want it to they actually will go out and like settle areas illegally to just start taking over, and then the violence will flare up between them and the Palestinians who live there, who live near there. Sometimes they take their land directly and everything. So anyway, it goes. So a lot of that has ramped up since the war started, and that actually just happened the other day. So here's just another, by the way, very interesting article in the New Arab. Now, the New Arab is a news outlet that was started by an Arab Israeli who was accused of treason, fled the country, and anyway, so they have this article that thought was really interesting. It's about the U.S. election. I said I wasn't going to talk about the election, but it talked about the Arab American vote that's divided over Gaza. Now, traditionally, Arab Americans have voted Democrat, but you saw in recent days how different groups representing Arab Americans and Muslims as well. I mean, by the way, like, not all Arabs are Muslim, but there was a Muslim group and then there was an Arab group, I think, that both endorsed Trump. And I mean, that was really interesting because number one, they usually vote for Democrats, but do they? Because I met the mayor of Taipei, the Christian village of Palestinian village of Taipei. They're dual American. Well, they have American citizenship as well, and they're businessmen, and they actually vote Republican for business reasons. So it'd be interesting to see. Now, of course, you've got a lot of the American vote is divided over the war in Gaza, whether it's because they're pro-Palestinian or pro-Israeli. So, but that's not necessarily the Arab Americans now, because also it's for Arab Americans, it's not necessarily just about the Palestinians, but there's also Lebanese. And I am seeing lately a lot of reports from the media in Lebanon. A lot of Lebanese are starting to speak up against Hezbollah. Now, Hezbollah sort of acts like mafia over there in Lebanon, just in terms of they control the South. They're also in the parliament in Lebanon, and they control wide areas of land. They're armed. They have 150,000 rockets. They have 100,000 in the militia. So we're talking like a heavily armed group that bullies its villages into, like, we're taking over this village, we're building tunnels, we're gonna put our lookouts from here, over into Israel and stuff like that. So there's a lot of Lebanese that are now speaking out against Hezbollah itself. So now Trump has said that he's going to, of course, he says the war wouldn't have started if he was in office, but he says the war in Gaza will end. And he also said the war in Lebanon will end. So that might be one of the reasons that people are also getting on board with him. The Arabs are getting on board with him in America. Maybe there are more Lebanese that are anti-Hezbollah that would go along with him. So actually, I thought it was very interesting that they pointed this out in this article here. There's the key states like Michigan where there's a high Arab population. So that would be very interesting. Okay. Now I talked about what's happening in the West Bank with the settlers. I really didn't go into detail on that, but there's always this tension, and it's actually a bigger story. Like, I don't even want to go into it a little bit if I don't if I don't have the details. But sorry, all of the news alerts are coming in now. What? Did he just fire? He just fired the defense minister? Hey guys, you got breaking news. Netanyahu, Prime Minister here of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, just fired Yoav Gallant, the defense minister. It's a good thing I checked all these alerts. I got the news on in the background. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yes. Nadia saying what? I know. What? That's 12. Let me put on 11. That was just 11 though, by the way. That came on my phone. Netanyahu Peter et Gallant. Yes. There you go. Breaking news, guys. Who knew? All right. Well, hey, Raya, can you open the dryer and shut it off so we don't have to hear that beeping all the time? Well, anyway, it'll take a while for us to parse the details of why he did it right now and who's going to take his place. No comment. You see, Nadia, I'm also no commenting right now. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, can you open the dryer so that it doesn't keep beeping? What do you think? What's your opinion of Netanyahu firing the defense minister? She'll go shut the dryer. Okay. There you go. So, wow. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the other news. Israel Katz. Wait, Israel Katz is going to be the new defense minister. Gidon Saar will be the foreign minister. Oh yeah, thank you. Nadia is mentioning that Harris also says she wants to end the Gaza war very soon. Yes, but I guess I was trying to point out that Trump was like also Lebanon, and he was probably thinking, I mean, Trump, he's probably thinking that Lebanon will be in the Abraham Accords, like like 2 months after he gets into office. But anyway, we could laugh about that. Okay, so I wonder if this has to do with another item of news that I wanted to talk about, which is, let me find there is this case going on right now that they're about leaks that have been coming out from the prime minister's office. Now, mind you, I warned you in the beginning that this was going to be like an insider baseball briefing, and this is the kind of stuff that if you live locally in Israel, you read about, and it's not necessarily like big international news, especially when you have elections and wars and stuff going on. But the Israeli media in particular is going crazy about leaks that have come out of the prime minister's office, that by people who were hired. I think it was like just after the war. I have to find the information anyway, reports that have come out that have been leaks, both leaks of actual information that shouldn't have been leaked to journalists, and also somewhat fabricated or trumped up information to kind of like show that to bolster like the prime minister's talk about like Rafah and other things that were said, like when he was talking about like that why Israel needs to be in Rafah and things like that. So let me find that article. I don't even think I'm going to get to the daycare story, by the way. What's the daycare story? This is what happens when you're not looking. Wow, I can't believe it. Ooh, and the coalition might be threatened because of this daycare thing. Can you believe it? That the whole the whole government could be toppled because of because of daycare. A trumped up information, Nadia. That is hilarious. Okay. So I'm there's a gag order on a lot of this, but information is starting to be opened up to the public. But there has been an ongoing investigation regarding illicit access to IDF intel and leaks by several suspects, including a spokesman in the prime minister's office. So some of these, this is a criminal probe. Reports in Hebrew media indicated that the probe is linked to reported allegations earlier in the year that Netanyahu has been attempting to keep his conversations regarding the management of the war in Gaza untraceable. A statement from Netanyahu's office blasted the fact following a year of criminal leaks from government level discussions. The only two investigations that were opened were directed against the prime minister's office and not against the serial leakers, none of whom were investigated and who caused tremendous damage to the hostages and Israel's security. So two of the stories, by the way, coincided with articles that were published in Israel-friendly foreign media. And one of them was, oh, I gotta find it. I gotta find it. Hold on. I'm sorry. Netanyahu is talking right now as well. Yeah. Now I got to go get the news. Can we go one day without breaking news? It's unbelievable. Oh man, I can't find the article right now. Where was it? And why did Netanyahu do this right now? Did he go and get was it to get attention off of this investigation that's going around his office? Okay, here's another headline. Israel's offering $5 million and safe passage for the release of hostages in Gaza. So he's offering Palestinians who by now are mostly homeless and have nothing and are paying like $100 for like a bag of flour. He's offering them $5 million for the release of each hostage held by Hamas. Now, mind you, maybe not all hostages are with Hamas. Okay, so there's one. I'm looking. The Knesset, the Israeli parliament, voted today to ban teachers who back terrorism. Terror supporters can no longer be teachers in Israel. Better late than never, said the bill sponsor. You know, that's going to raise up all sorts of issues of freedom of speech, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, did you guys see the video of the Iranian woman who stripped down to just her underwear and walked around in public? Now, I'm not sure because I've read conflicting reports as to whether she did it in protest first and then was arrested, or she was arrested first for something and then did it in protest. But anyway, that was bold. She is now she's being treated for mental issues. Okay. All right. Let me go back to this one. Anyway, there's just so much there's so much of the little stuff. I don't think I'm going to find that article right now with that information that I was looking for. But it was just, anyway, it's an ongoing investigation, and it's taken over the Israeli media. Wow, I just saw this. Iran sentences 3 to death over the 2020 killing of nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, excuse me. Also another, so anyway, people believed was killed by Israel. And it was near Tehran. It was like one of those, things that nobody knew how he was executed just like that. It was crazy. And not executed. That's not the word. He was drive-by shooting, I think, while he was in his car. It was something like motorcycle went by, shot him, and it was like, who did it? So anyway, and then Iran executed a Jewish Iranian citizen on murder charges. And then what are they saying about Jamshid Sharmad? Wow. Okay. Interesting. So I mentioned also I wanted to speak with Giselle Sharmad, who I interviewed in the past. Her father was kidnapped from Dubai. He had been living in America, who was in Dubai, kidnapped by Iran, and has been imprisoned since then. And they announced that he died before his execution. Meanwhile, it was reported widely that he was executed. So, will we ever get to the bottom of that? Yes, Nadia, that's right. That's right. I just was saying about the Iranian, yeah, who was executed. I believe he was accused of murder, but he said it was self-defense, and anyway. So, do you guys have any questions? Because I think I'm done. I mean, the investigation, I think, will be ongoing, so I'll get you more information as that unfolds. And of course, now we have to break down this whole breaking news of having a new defense minister in the middle of a war. Very interesting. Never a dull moment. Does Israel Katz have military? Like, what was his deal in the military? Anybody know? You think I'm right about Gallant? I mean, Gallant he survived a lot of firing attempts by Netanyahu over the last year. I'm trying to remember the exact details, but the fact that let's see, wait, ביטחון מדינה היה ותמיד. Okay, so he posted on looks like Twitter. He posted on social media. He said the security of the state of Israel has always been my main mission, my life's mission, and that's what Yoav Gallant said. So was Katz even in the army? That's it. I'm looking it up because I also wanted to. I mean, you assume, right? All right, Israel Katz. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm going to end the live because I got to answer this call. But anyway,